Hello, welcome back to the recap. My name is Angie, this is my husband Tim, and today we are recapping from a bubble tea shop.
It was either this or a blurred text message.
At least we know no one's going to stand us up.
At least that way we get to go home early.
Goodness, the rhymes part in this episode was so small. Their scenes was comprised of them talking about their fishy business and, again, this location that they were supposed to meet Desiree at.
That and the text message, but we'll get to that later.
I have no announcements, so let's get into the episode. Seeking Sister Wife, Season 5, Episode 4, Seeking the Truth. I can't remember if Seasons 1 through 4 all started with seeking in their episode titles.
Have they all been seeking blah 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 in this season?
Yeah.
Huh. Somebody's being creative.
Or not. Okay, let's start off with the Davises. We're at the point where we find out that Danielle moved back into the house. That was new information to me. I must have missed that detail because I didn't know that she full-on decided to rejoin Nick, April, and Jennifer.
I don't think they mentioned it last episode, so it might be new information.
Because after hearing that she changed her mind, I was thinking to myself, wow, Danielle, your resolve died pretty quickly.
It's kind of a running theme in the show so far that there'll be a problem that at the end of the episode that will be abruptly resolved at the beginning of the next episode.
Yeah, it's akin to the visa problem in episode 3 where, an IT guy just happened to bump up your number out of all the 500 other issues that were going on with people's visas or passports or whatever.
Yeah, it sounds like a non-problem.
Because it takes a while to find a suitable apartment for you to get the lease, to pay the down payment, to have the referrals you need in order to be eligible for said apartment, to have it at a good distance from your job.
And we never saw a picture of the apartment, so we're not even sure if it exists.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe she doesn't have another place.
And it's just drama for the show.
So, for those of you who've watched our Married at First Sight recaps, there's a whole lot of production going on by the actual cast members, and I'm not surprised that is rampant in every TV show we watch.
I mean, it could be the producers asking them to do it.
Maybe we need to recap a different genre.
Oh my good God, please.
It's just non-storylines.
Anyway, the patio.
They are in their backyard, continuing the discussion. Jennifer does ask Danielle some questions. She asks, what exactly about dating is throwing you off? Because we can't fix any issues until we get to the root of the problem. And April also is supportive. She expresses that she loves Danielle and that she would be devastated if they were to raise Vera without her. And she sees her as equally as a sister wife as she sees Jenny, who she is legally married to. Danielle just says that it's all still very difficult. Her transitioning into a polygamous dynamic is a huge adjustment. She mentions that the Davises were her actual first serious relationship.
That's not good. That's not great.
Yeah, because she does mention that she has only been casually dating up until that point.
This is your only frame of reference, and it's very, very different.
Because when you're in your early 20s, you're still at a point where you're trying to figure out who you are and how you relate to other people. And she's probably thinking that this is not for her.
You know, that's up to her. The issue I was having with this was that Danielle is obviously very upset, but she's not articulating exactly why she's upset very well, and it's leaving the rest of the Davises and the audience confused, though we came up with a couple of guesses.
Before her solo lunch date with Nick at the end of the episode, where she does go into detail about what's bothering her, Our thoughts about why she was so upset was partly due to having severe social anxiety, because she does say that she decided to get her own apartment because she just needed some space to think this through for herself.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking it was because she was afraid of whoever it is that they brought into the family, and she likes it the way it is right now, and she doesn't want to get it all gunked up with some new weirdo.
It does appear that Nick is concerned about her feelings and does make efforts to address them directly. He says that Danielle enhances their dynamic. He would never let just anyone come into their family and destroy what has already been established, which I appreciated considering that other sister wives show we watch where someone new came into the family and upended all of the traditions.
I'd say nuked from orbit.
It's the only way to be safe. That's an Aliens reference. In her confessional, the producer asked Danielle if she loves the Davises, and she goes, duh, of course I do. I love them more than anyone that I've ever met in my life. This made me think that her anxieties about adding another woman has more to do with just anxiety and not so much, oh, I'm not going to be getting enough of Nick's time, which is usually the case when a wife doesn't want to add new people into a family.
It's not the J word that doesn't exist?
Jealousy. Either way, Nick does do the Pikachu face where he tells us that he didn't see this coming at all.
Yeah.
So fast forward, Nick meets Danielle for lunch. He tries to reassure her that she is a wonderful wife, mother, and sister wife.
All while wearing a fancy silk shirt that's just pretty nice.
You said that he was giving off pimp energy.
I mean, a little bit, not in the human trafficking direction, but he likes to dress sharply.
And it didn't help that he was wearing a fedora as they exited the restaurant.
And a gold chain.
Why is he trying to look like that? You're just asking for comments, dude.
Yeah. But anyway, they had a one-on-one.
Danielle says the current issue right now that she's back in the house again is she can feel April is a bit more awkward around her. He does express her leaving has heavily affected April, I think more so than all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
Nick tries to assuage her fears, saying he feels bad he made her feel she couldn't do anything, like she felt trapped up until the point where she made this spontaneous decision without notifying anyone. He felt bad that she felt she had to do something that drastic, but he does try to validate her concerns.
Mm-hmm. Which she finally communicates, which is exactly what we thought. She was afraid that they would all bring somebody and they would all love this woman except for her, and that she wouldn't have the wherewithal to not say yes, even though she doesn't want to say yes.
Nick does say that if that is the case and you voted no, he implied that they would not go forward in that situation with this person.
Yeah.
Because he says nothing can replace you or what you do within our family. But he is still concerned about Danielle's resolve because her name is still on this other apartment lease that is a thing. Mm-hmm. You don't know if it is or not. Then again, they did say that she was out for a few days. She must have been staying somewhere.
I know, but...
So the apartment's probably a real place.
Maybe. And it appears that at the end of all of this, Danielle is mollified for the most part. They get up and they leave, and I found myself thinking, Nick is so much better being a leader than Cody Brown.
At least from what we see. Because
yes.
It took us quite a few seasons for us to really see how terrible Cody is at being a leader of his family.
I'm just thinking about all of the restaurant date things with Cody, where Cody is just not paying attention, and he's not asking questions, and he's accusing his wives of all kinds of nonsense and then taking no accountability. Nick is asking specifics and he's reassuring the particular things, not invalidating every single thing that the wives have to say. It's still weird. It's still very culty, but he's scoring higher than Cody, which, albeit, is a very low bar.
Yeah, and definitely more so than any of these families we have seen.
Mm-hmm.
Not just this season, but the entirety of this show.
There's something else could be going on, but he's still the best so far. Again, low bar.
Mm-hmm. I know some people don't like Nick. And we know in reality TV, you usually can't root for one person saying they're the good guy or they're the good family, because very soon the pattern is usually flipped. And we wonder why we ever gave them that benefit of the doubt.
I mean, he's still weird. We're not going to lie about that. This is weird.
Anyways, that's them. So let's switch on over to the Sherwoods. Last episode, they broke up with Grace.
Thank God. Excuse me, thank the universe.
And they were able to find someone very new pretty quickly.
Impressive.
I'm just thinking, oh man, that storyline didn't go anywhere. We need to get someone really quick on short notice.
And it seems they found a normal lady.
Yes, they meet her at a nearby park. Her name is Sarah. She's wearing a very flowy sundress. They met her on social media. She looks to be their age.
Thankfully.
Sarah's very considerate. She brought Ashley some soup, some lobster rolls. Girl after my own heart. That's food I love.
They bonded over crab.
Mm-hmm. In Maryland, blue crabs particularly. Mm-hmm. Ashley thinks Sarah is young-spirited. She likes her energy. They talk about their children. Sarah has an 8-year-old. She knows that Ashley has, what was his name? Cy, her firstborn son, and obviously the second one that's growing inside of her.
And Shane.
Poor Shane. We'll get to him.
Yeah, Sarah says that she's into men and women, not used to dating women, especially just the woman in a relationship.
I think Sarah hinted that when she would go out on dates, she would be out with the couple. And now she's just out with Ashley. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was a green flag where she does want to meet Shane eventually.
Which Ashley thinks is weird.
Ashley did not come off looking good in this episode.
Oh, no, she didn't. Oh, no, she didn't. Wait, what? You want to meet Shane? That's weird.
Wait, but seriously, did she say that?
No, I just made that up. I don't think she actually said that.
They appreciate that the woman that they are dating is already a mom. Sarah does admit that dating someone who's currently pregnant is a bit unusual for her. They talk about Ashley's hobbies, the competitive axe throwing.
While pregnant.
Yes, because Ashley does say that she and her husband have weekly axe throwing dates on Wednesdays. Mm-hmm. Overall, Ashley is feeling very relaxed around Sarah, at least more so than when she was with Grace. And she thinks that Sarah is very attractive.
Oh my goodness, this line here.
Ashley says that she thinks the sexual component is very important when you're looking for a person to add to your family, and she's glad that she finds that in Sarah.
Then she says, "This is what it feels like to be attracted to someone."
And I felt really bad because my first thought went to, does that mean you're not attracted to your own husband?
So this is what it feels like to be around a person you want to Oh boy, it's like you have 2 children. You shouldn't be saying this out loud.
If I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt, she was probably referring to Grace, where she was trying to express that she wasn't sexually attracted to her. So there's this point in Ashley's confessional where she does confess that she is glad that Sarah is open to polygamy because she had to convince Grace
to consider
it because apparently that was never on the table when they decided to embark on this relationship.
That should have been the minimum requirement of being on a date with Ashley. She's just dating a woman and hoping to be able to convince this woman to have sex with her husband.
I felt that was deceptive on Ashley's end, where in the first episode you were introduced to us, you made it clear that this woman was going to have biological children with your husband. And now you're saying to us that Grace didn't even know she had to be friendly with him, to that matter.
Or maybe Grace thought that you were breaking it off with Shane, or at the very least, this should have been a deal breaker from
Date one. But they continued doing that for 2 months.
Yeah, Ashley.
I did not like her in this episode.
Ashley's an honorary man on this show.
Yeah, where she tends to act like the usual polygamous jack whenever we watch any of these families. Either Dimitri.
She almost has Garrick energy.
Moving on, Sarah does say what she looks for in potential partner. She says the sexiest thing about a person is their kindness.
To which Ashley says she has a heart orgasm.
What was her exact words?
She said that she was feeling all floaty and her heart just burst in her chest or something.
I can't remember.
Her heart jumped for joy.
You can tell Ashley's very attracted to this woman. They kiss because she asks if she can kiss Sarah. When she goes home and tells Shane about it, he asks her, "Oh, so you made the first move?"
Well, that's what you do when you're feeling attracted to someone for the first time.
I'm still trying to see the good in Ashley. Maybe
Like
she meant this feeling is new for me because I didn't feel that with Grace. Okay, fine. Okay.
Don't buy it.
All right. She continues to gush about Sarah, saying they have great chemistry and their core values align. She didn't feel like she was judged, and Shane's just trying to act like, I guess, her parent, where he just says to her, "I'm proud of you, that's great."
These two probably are going to have the hardest time seeking a sister wife, because everybody else is just trying to find a woman who is willing to have sex with one person. They're trying to find a woman who's willing to have sex with both of them. So, for all we know, Sarah thinks that Ashley's hot, but then she's going to meet Shane and think that Shane is too much of a sad boy. And that's where the difficulty lies.
Again, this is the wrong show for you to be on, because that is polyamory. And if that was the case, you would probably be dating both of them at the same time.
Not this weird Ashley thing she's doing. I felt like even Sarah thought that it was stupid.
Well, at least Sarah's giving this the old college try.
And Shane is watching her do it. Sad boy energy.
It does seem as if the Sherwoods are very successful at recruiting women to at least come meet with them.
I know, right? They've gotten 2 and Sarah seems normal.
On the other hand, a family that is having the most difficult time trying to
obtain any woman
are the Ryans.
Which are not their real names.
Okay,
discovered.
So on Reddit, someone was able to actually research the Ryans, which thank you. Justin's actual last name is Kunin. I don't know how to pronounce it. Kunin? Apparently, in 2022, he did run for Texas governor at some point, which I'm thinking to myself, why are you coming on this train wreck show that is definitely going to put a nail in the coffin of any political
aspirations
that you have left?
They won't know it's you. Just use your middle name.
I'm thinking, dude, I guess I'm glad you have your construction business to rely on, because...
Or Becky's MLM. We'll get to that, but we found out more about Becky, too.
I don't understand why MLM, pseudoscience, and polygamy always tend to go hand in hand.
I don't know. We got an eyeful of her dumb antioxidant scanning machine.
So when we see the Ryans, we get a good look at what Becky does for work. And she has a scanner, which I looked it up. I think the people that came up with the scanner is
New Skin,
which is a
MLM,
designed by a Chinese man or something?
a Chinese company,
Which is supposed to detect the carotenoid levels in your skin, which they equate to antioxidant levels.
because they decided to believe so.
I was reading an article debunking that sort of health check because carotenoid levels are usually equated to how much fruits and vegetables you eat. Usually you don't need a scanner because people have a pretty good idea of what they ate that week.
Because they were there. But we found out more about her parents too, right?
Someone linked articles to an Oprah episode where they discussed who Becky's father is, who is really her stepfather. He was Tony Alamo. Her mother is Sharon Krupp Alamo. And it does appear that her stepfather did take on child brides, which I think 4 of them were in the talk show with Oprah discussing their abuse within that cult.
I kind of want to edit in Robin's list of all the things wrong with polygamy. Child brides,
Tax fraud.
welfare fraud.
So polygamy is as it appears. Very dangerous, full of these narcissistic, perverted men. Okay. Back to the Ryans. Justin says that he is in construction, but he has totally bought into Becky's scanner business. She's saying to him, "You're due for another scan." And then she diagnoses him with, "Keep taking the supplements."
I wonder who you buy the supplements from.
Geez, I wonder if it's the same company that is also telling you that your antioxidant levels are low.
I wonder if she's trying to plug this.
I don't know what's dumber. The coaching, what the universe is saying to you for entrepreneurs, or this hand scammer.
Their whole thing is a nothing burger, but with one interesting twist. They do confirm that they've been looking for a sister wife for 20 years.
That is so long to just have failure after failure.
It's kind of pathetic, actually. That's a pretty shitty batting average.
They'll say it later on. They could be successful because apparently Justin can just find any person, any beautiful woman to sleep with him on a one-night stand, but they're looking for a commitment.
I mean, if somebody offered, I'm sure he wouldn't say no, but that's not what they're looking for. Unless you're offering. But I wouldn't say no. I mean, that's not what I'm looking for.
How big-headed can you be that you think you can reel in any women
The guy ran for Texas governor. That's not a close race.
Yes, overinflated self-confidence is just as prevalent in polygamy as MLMs are. Moving on, they go to a boba shop. They're waiting for Desiree to show up. Justin is nervously checking his phone because he knows what to expect. He's used to this. He does eventually get the text saying that Desiree is chickening out on their date. He reads the text, and I say that in quotes because when the cameras film the actual thread, it is blurred.
After much discussion as to why they may have blurred the text message, it's obvious that the text message does not say what they claim it says. I'm thinking that either the text message said something like, "You guys are gross, I'm not showing up on your dumb TV show," or something to that effect. It is canceling the appointment the day before, and they're just making up this whole standing up thing so that they have something to film.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if Desiree said, you guys are freaks. I was just trying to be nice when you decided to hit me up in front of my gym buddy.
On a TV show.
Then again, she was mic'd up. That implies that she agreed to go along with their little...
Farce. And also, that's what makes me think that it might be that she had canceled the day before, because that would mean that they knew they were going to be stood up. This whole going to the tea shop is just bull.
In last episode, when Ashley broke up with Grace, she was reading her farewell message. We saw that conversation on her phone, and that wasn't blurred. So the fact that this one is makes me think that when Justin is saying, I appreciate the offer, but I have to protect my family, that wasn't what Desiree texted.
It makes me wonder why the hell they even showed the phone.
If this really were the case, Ryans, who believe in God, take this as your hint. Another girl has backed out after 20 years. Stop trying to think positively and just be monogamous.
It's not as though Justin received a revelation from God telling him that he needed 5 wives or anything like that.
No, Becky wants this for some reason. She wants this even though her mom had a bad experience in it. Maybe
she just wants to sell her MLM?
Oh, just in grifting mode again.
Maybe.
I'm tired of these people just coming on TV to just plug their business. They return to their house. They just want to chill. For some reason,
they play the sexy music,
implying that they're going to relax by having some sexy alone time.
Did they set this up? The weird music.
Well, I guess the editors did.
Who's it for?
Don't know. Thankfully, that's the most we get of those two. Down to the last family of this episode are the Merrifields, of course. They start off by repeating the word mojitos, mojitos over and over again.
Speaking Spanish. That's what the subtitle said.
We see Natalia's mom in the kitchen making their lunch, and she tells the cameras that cooking is not one of her daughter's strong suits. Garrick hears this, and he tries to joke, saying they'll get a French servant or sister wife to come in and cook for them because Natalia can't do that.
And yes, but Natalia says that's not necessary.
Because she expects them to go out every day for food.
Because of their wealthy American ways.
She definitely thinks they're rich.
I don't think they realize that everything costs more here. It balances out. Can't believe he said that out loud.
What, sister wife to cook for them?
Yeah, that he wants to get a French sister wife to cook for them. Like he's just collecting wives.
From all ethnicities, because he is just that attractive.
Because God demands it.
He's just being his usual pervert self because he just keeps robbing her the entire time.
The whole time I'm thinking Natalia needs an adult to be like, stop that, stop touching her. I mean, how would you feel if I just went like this whole time?
Like, dude, your mother is there.
Right there. Oh my God.
This dude definitely doesn't respect anyone, and that everybody is beneath him.
He's God's chosen.
Larry's here.
Until we kick him off in desperation to avoid the noise he makes.
Okay. We then get Danielle in a confessional saying she's worried Garrick is going to propose, and she's not comfortable with that because the breakup from Roberta is still very fresh. She was so connected to Roberta that she gave her a keepsake, a necklace that she gifted to symbolize their sister-wife relationship.
A sister necklace.
A sister necklace, yes. And she is planning to give something like that to Natalia if they go through with the engagement. It just hurts Danielle because obviously Roberta didn't go through with the marriage. So she's just feeling a lot of apprehension. Natalia takes notice of this and decides to have a one-on-one conversation with her about this fear that she's sensing.
Garrick doesn't notice it, and that's mostly because he can't see beyond the length of his I guess like this long.
He is so myopic too.
Maybe that's why his eyes are always so open. Because he can barely see.
So, anyways, so they get away from their creepy boyfriend/husband for a few minutes. Of course, they're talking through Google Translator. Natalia asks Danielle, do you have doubts about me or do you have doubts about living polygamy? Danielle just says she has doubts because their relationship with Roberta was over 3 years long. Then Natalia says, I'm just trying to make sure it isn't jealousy because that is obviously something I don't want you to feel because you are a big impact on this polygamous arrangement in general. I need to know how you're feeling. Danielle then says some BS saying, we all have to make sacrifices in order to live this way. And I was the one that wanted Garrick to live this way, which is false on both ends because 1, Garrick isn't making any sacrifices. 2, it's very apparent that Garrick is the one who pushed this on you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was God that put it on her.
Oh, yeah. God. Again, the name of Garrick's.
And then Garrick's big dumb face walks in.
Then Natalia tries to explain to him that she's uncomfortable going with any sort of proposal because she is picking up how afraid Danielle is feeling. Then Danielle denies that, even though that was what she said. Then Garrick goes on this weird rant saying, Danielle, you were okay with me having Natalia as my wife. You were 100% on board with this. And now you're not.
You are my wife, and she is my wife. It's confusing at first until you start to see that he doesn't understand what her concern is, and he's superimposing his own concern over her. He is afraid that she's finally realized that this polygamy thing is dumb. But Danielle's concern is specifically that she doesn't want to be hurt again, like with Roberta.
He's very dismissive of her fears because when Natalia brings this up to him saying, why do you keep repeating that this is ordained of God when I know that God doesn't want Danny to be unhappy? And he says, she's just unhappy for brief stints at a time.
He says she's not unhappy. It's just a little bit here and there or something like that. It's, wow, that's what it is.
Goodness.
At this point, it became clear to us that Natalia cares more about Danielle than Garrick does.
Because Danielle is vocal saying the issue with her insecurity is that with Roberta, she's never had that feeling of giving your all to one person, of divorcing your husband for this person, for the prospect of bringing them to America and for them to just reject them. She says she's never had that feeling of being trampled on. She is very obvious in what is upsetting her. And Garrick just says, if you're being fearful, that feeling is definitely not coming from God. Because there's only blessings ahead if you go forward with what God says.
And if you've ever been in a high-demand religion before, you'll recognize this line. This is usually the line that they say just before demanding you do something stupid. Specifically that fear does not come from God. Therefore, if you're feeling fear, then it's coming from the devil. Or something like that. Oh. I've heard that several times in my life at crucial steps.
Because the God of the Old Testament is usually very adept at
imposing fear
into his children. Anyways.
It was at this point that we realized that Natalia is probably smarter than Danielle and Garrick combined. We realized that she's really keeping it together.
I can see her having graduated law school because she's very meticulous in her accusations of Garrick not being considerate of his wife. Because after Garrick says his spiel saying, I don't think Danielle's unhappy, Natalia just says, can you just leave us alone for a minute? That's when she asked Danielle, are you doing this because Garrick's forcing you to do this? Of course, Danielle says, I was the one who suggested this lifestyle to him.
I think they wanted some dumb girl, and out of a racist belief that people from third world countries are dumb, they thought that they could hoodwink this girl, but she seems sharp.
Yeah, and that is exemplified even further in the next scene. She is able to eye Garrick's phone as it lights up because she was able to read a notification from a dating app that was installed. So Nathalia confronted him about it, saying, why are you still on these platforms? You said when you first asked me out on a date that you would delete them. And he says, they're just DMs. They're just reaching out to me. I'm not being dishonest.
He starts to feign ignorance about how any of it works.
And Nathalia knows how it works. She says, but in this particular platform, the subscriptions give you special tools. I'm assuming options. She's pointing out that he's still available on the app, which means that he's still paying for it.
Mm-hmm. And this is an old fight that Danielle and Garrick have had before,
where she asked him to delete those apps whilst they were courting Nathalia.
Mm-hmm.
And he
refused to do it?
But Danielle brings up that when Nathalia asks him, he acquiesces to her, which I don't know if that's the case because obviously he didn't, because he still didn't delete the app.
Well, didn't he do it at the end of the scene?
Did he?
I think he might have.
Okay. But again, this is very reminiscent of Sister Wives, where it's Christine, no, Robin, yes.
Yeah. And also, this is weird because earlier we discovered that in the vision, whatever the hell that is, that Garrick received, that told him that God wanted him to have more wives, it was 5 wives. Did he not tell Nathalia that?
Yeah, that was weird. Garrick has at least stated to Danielle that he wants to marry 3 more women after Nathalia, but both of them are upset that he still has dating apps. To be fair, I don't think they met Nathalia on a dating app. She said that she found them through their social media stories. I'm thinking she found them on their Instagram stories.
Yeah, the whole thing's gross. And Danielle basically breaks over it.
Yeah, the huge lack of respect.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout all of this, Garrick is just experiencing the most prevalent aspect of polygamy is having multiple women be mad at you simultaneously.
If you can't deal with the heat, then get out of the kitchen. And that works because they're in the kitchen making lunch. So I was thinking, Nathalia and Danielle got to leave Garrick. They should go hook up with Nick.
Oh, and bring Shane with you too.
Because this is the only guy who knows how to take care of people.
Or at least you'll get honest responses from him because Garrick is just acting dumb.
Huh? Weaponized stupidity.
Again, taking it from Robin's rulebook.
I'm so confused.
That is the end of the episode.
Danielle moves back in and she's really scared. And Nick manages to mollify her. And that's pretty much all that happens. We see the Ryans. The Ryans push some MLM bull. And then they pretend to get stood up at a tea place. Then we see Ashley of the Sherwoods go on a date with Sarah. Ashley shares with us that she's never felt attracted to a person before. And then returns home to her sad boy husband to give her the skinny on the whole date situation. Then we see the Merrifields. Everything goes bad. Nathalia is the only smart person in the room.
They thought that they were marrying a poor, easily manipulated Brazilian woman, but instead they got a hard-lining attorney. Thank you for making it to the end. Here's Morty, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
All right. How's that, babe?
I like it.
Okay, good. Hey, Morty.